Broadcasting through the depths of outer space.
Hello, I'm alive. I don't know what's going on.
By your command.
Fascinating.
Damn you all to hell!
Nando.
It's the Sci-fi Podcast. This is episode 8 of the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast. Michael Ball with my good friend Martin Fowler up in Londonville, bringing you another show talking about podcast, talking about sci-fi and podcast and anything else we could think about. How are you doing, Martin?
I'm doing very well. I've just discovered some new sci-fi series today. I didn't even know it started, and they're looking good.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about this before we go into the news. So tell me all about these shows.
There's something. They've copied over with something, but it's a bit different.
All right.
It's called Fifth Avenue. Apparently, it's looking like it could be a big hit. I'll let you know in the news. I think that's probably best.
Yeah, brilliant.
There's quite an all-star cast in it, and it's different.
Okay, that sounds like a good news topic. So, quickly before we go into the news, what's been happening at your end as your own person? Because in the end, although we talk about sci-fi, we like to at least acknowledge our existence and our lives. How's your week been? It's been all right?
Yes, it's been very good. I've been ballroom dancing. It's been interesting.
Oh, how's that going? You enjoying it?
Yes, it's very regimented, and
okay.
I have a very strict dance teacher. But
right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah,
and it's something that it sounds like you want to continue at least for the short term.
Yeah, well, I'm going to a do, so I've got to learn to do this.
Oh,
but we're doing
so
the jive and salsa tomorrow. Don't ask.
Oh dear, that sounds like it could be interesting. Is there anything you're going to share online with people in the future, or are you not that confident enough yet to show yourself?
I'm not that confident, but when I did get home last Thursday, I went. My feet were doing strange things through the night.
Okay, that's good. Well, good luck with that. Nothing major this end. It's January. We haven't got much money. We're waiting to get to the warmer months and start going out and about a bit. But we're all fine, and we're all looking forward now to, of course, the new Star Trek series, which is just from our perspective, a couple of days away. And new Doctor Who as well, so which we can talk about that in the news. So let's go into the Solar Sci-Fi news. Here we go.
Working.
Solar Sci-Fi
News.
All right, so from my perspective, it's only a few days now to the new Star Trek Picard. It's all building up. The adverts are everywhere. It's exciting. I'm hearing some more info about this series now. There was a leaked clip of Picard in 10 Forward playing cards with Data in his Nemesis uniform, and then Mars through the 10 Forward windows looks like it's blowing up, which looks really interesting. Data's looking a lot better now compared to his early trailers where he didn't look quite tweaked right with his de-aging, whatever they do. I'm really excited the more I'm hearing about it. I don't want to get too excited, but in the same regard, it's Star Trek, and it sounds like it's going to be relatively fitting in with canon, which is a geek thing for me, is important. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on this week. We also had the new Doctor Who, which I heard some of your last week's Martin Sci-Fi Appeal upload on YouTube, where you preferred the week before's episode. I preferred this one. The one factor that it did remind me a little bit of the episode Vincent of the Doctor, where Vincent realises that he's not at that point. He's a good painter, but nobody recognises him. And in the end, this is one factor which I missed about this episode with Nikolai, whatever his name was. They should have taken him to the future, where he saw Wi-Fi, where he saw technology and stuff like that, and he saw factors which he would help to shape the world. And in the end, they didn't. They just told him to, do well, keep doing what you're doing, and he was kind of left alone. And that to me was a big down point for me. I think that would have got a lot more points up if they'd have done that in a similar fashion to Vincent and the Doctor. But in the end, it was all right. And tell me what you think about it. I know you put it on your page, but just run by what you thought of it.
I wasn't impressed at all.
So what is it you didn't like about it?
I think with somebody like Nikola Tesla, there's a lot of stuff around Tesla, especially amongst the conspiracy things as well.
I'm not familiar with
the broadcast from Mars he picked up and all this.
Right. So I mean, I'm not. Are you familiar with him as a historical person?
Well, it's if you're into like the old. There's a lot of untruths around him.
Right.
I'm not quite clear. If you want to get onto Tesla, you've really got to dig to find the truth. The guy was a genius, but Edison. It was a strange time. A lot of technological
massive changes
were going on with electricity.
That's right.
And he was beyond his time.
Yeah.
But when he was messing about with one of his devices, apparently he picked up a transmission from Mars, and this is what that episode was based on.
That's right. But you think it could have been done in a better way, or the story just didn't grip you, or what?
I just think with a character like Tesla, because Tesla's been used a lot in science fiction, and especially amongst the UFO community and the conspiracies and all. He's one of them characters, and I just think they missed out on they could have done something amazing with this episode. They had the right characters in. I mean, they even got Edison down as this greedy corporate type.
Yeah.
Which, there's a lot about him but that don't ring true as well,
So you're saying it was historically quite inaccurate based on...
No, it's not about the inaccuracy. It's that with the amount of propaganda and stuff about Tesla, there could have been a lot more. He died penniless, and he used to feed birds in Central Park. He was skint.
Right.
Quite a sad ending for him, for a guy who basically, like I said, connected the world. I mean, because he wanted to do it for free. He wanted to give it all to better the human, but obviously, what do you mean you're giving that away? We're going to make money.
Yeah, I've got you. Okay. So, like I said, I did have some parallels, to me at least, with Vincent and the Doctor, based on a historical person who, at the time, wasn't recognised for what they would shape the future to be. But did you like Vincent and the Doctor? Do you remember that episode?
Yeah, I did. What I liked about that, I know he died penniless.
Oh, hang on, my phone's going. Spare me a second. Sorry.
Another blooper.
Yeah, it's another blooper. It's all right. It'll ring. Always rings when we do the recording. Give me a second. It'll stop at about 2 rings. There we go. Sorry, carry on what you're saying.
I found with it took him to the future, and it took him to an art gallery. Even though he died with no money and he was a genius, it's with Vincent. He showed him what he leaves the world.
That is exactly
that
is exactly what I said at the beginning of this review. This one, this is what that episode needed on Sunday. Yeah. It didn't, and it could have gone that way because there were some parallels. And I thought Vincent the Doctor was an excellent episode. I thought it was brilliant, a real classic. And they could have made that a little bit closer to, like I said, some glimpse of what he would help to shape the world into being, based on the fact that at that time that he's living, he's not actually achieving much, at least financially, but he is shaping the world, and they missed out on that. That was my major criticism of the episode, I think.
Yes.
But there we go, another episode done. Next week it's back with the Jadoon Baba, the Soul Ball. But apparently I've heard that this begins a big story arc which leads to the end of the season. So so hopefully it's not going to be a standalone episode. Do you know if it's a single episode or a two-parter?
Well, before the series started, I heard that there was going to be 3 two-parters within the... Is it 10 episodes?
Yeah, 10 episodes, yeah.
That's, I suppose, 6 episodes are going to be two-parters,
So we're due another one. If that's the case, then we're definitely due another one.
Yeah, so I show me, and like you said, if the Gallifreyan story arc's starting next week.
Yeah. I mean,
are they going to build on it?
I was going to say, there was a brand new trailer released for the second half of the season. Have you seen it yet?
No.
No. I'm trying to see. It had very brief glimpses. It had something, I think we saw very, very brief glimpses, but it did look like there was some sort of arc of some sort which is going to follow the second half of the season. Whether that's very big arc, or whether it's more of a just kind of loose link, which you don't know. Like I said, the previous seasons, we've had some really major story arcs, even back to season 1 or series 1 of with the Bad Wolf, which was really good, and then Silence Will Fall, all the other ones. But last year there was nothing apart from the Timeless Child, which reference, and that was just a reference. That's been linked to this season, which is a good thing. But so far, we don't know how it's going to go. I think the Master will be back soon, though. That'll be interesting. I like the Master.
And I'm just hoping that they never resolved the Dalek Time Lord hybrid, did they?
No.
They never really got to do it. It was just left.
Yeah, but that often happens in Doctor Who, doesn't it? And that's a problem. So let's be optimistic. Okay, it's been a couple of episodes. The one that before last week's, the something 55, Orphan 55, whatever it was called, that has been panned by a lot of people. You are more in favour of it, fair enough. That's the individual preference. But who knows? Let's just look forward to next week's. And like I said,
just this episode, I thought the Nikola Tesla thing was a great angle. I really did. And I was impressed with the trailer the week before. Right. But the aliens were just so cheesy. Even CGI, when they were all stood outside Force Field, it were comical. Yeah. And I thought, with them aliens, and there was just no effort put into them aliens.
They reminded me of the Sycorax. They reminded me of the actress. She was the one who played Rani on the Sarah Jane Adventures. She was back as the lead bad Monster of the Week character, the leader. I can't remember her name. I didn't think she came across particularly well, I have to say.
It reminded me of Sarah Paris being the big arachnid.
Yeah, I when I first saw her, I thought she was related to the Sycorax in the season, the Christmas special, Christmas Invasion, I think it was, from 2006, something like that. One of the early, I think it was the first Christmas episode, or the second. No, it wasn't. I think it was, I don't know, way back in David Tennant's era, anyway. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I need to see these episodes again. I'm not very good at watching them once. I need to sort of see them again. Now I've seen what's happened, then you can watch it more on, having higher expectations, and that's the problem. But there we go. That's Doctor Who for this week. We've still got quite another 6 to go, and we'll be giving our reviews out of 10. Out of the rest of the 10. So out of 10, I'll probably give this one a 6.5, maybe 7 at the stretch. What would you give it?
4,
yeah, fair enough. Okay, no problem. Okay, thank you for that, Martin. What else have you heard? Now, you mentioned some other series that you've come across or you've heard about. Tell me about those.
Right, Ego, fantastic Ego time. Him with the flat cap and the beard. I picked up this morning, I've actually had a look at it on YouTube. There's a series called Fifth Avenue come out.
Okay, well, tell us about it.
And, there is some comparisons to the Orville with the sarcasm and wit. It's about an ocean liner, a starliner, set 60 years in the future. Okay. And all the rich people have booked the first holidays to travel in space on this luxurious spaceship.
Right.
And it's an 8-week tour. There's 5,000 people on this cruise ship in space.
Yeah.
And it gets lost. They end up 3 years off course, and they don't tell the people on the ship. And Hugh Laurie is the commander of it.
Oh, wow.
And they've got a massive cast, and the owner of the line, he's not in reality at all. He's based on like a Richard Branson who's lost the plot tag.
Oh, it sounds good already. So have they made it?
Yeah.
What have they made? Is it released? Is it coming up? What is it?
I think it's already started. I think it's had its premiere already. I'm going to start looking. It's called Fifth Avenue.
I'm just going into the Internet Movie Database right as we speak to see about it. It sounds right up my street, quite frankly.
Apparently, the set, I've seen clips of it. The sets look stunning. HBO spent a fortune on it. It's because of the Orville. But the Sarka is so funny, but they get lost in deep space. It's set in 2064, I think. So 40 years from now.
Is it like a Netflix series? Is it an Amazon series? What is it based on?
It's done by HBO. That's all he said. I don't know what. I think it's HBO. That's all I know. I'm gonna have to start digging.
And it's called Fifth Avenue, right?
It's called Fifth Avenue.
It's
The
not
ship's called.
It's not coming off Internet Movie Database, which is weird. Let me look up Hugh Laurie, because if he's in it should link. Maybe the name's slightly different or something.
I will take a look from my side.
Let's have a look. Hugh Laurie. I'm interested. This sounds really good. Avenue 5. You sure it's not Avenue 5?
Oh, is that set on Starliner?
Well, it's in Hugh Laurie's. It's a filmography, but that's it. Avenue. So it's not. Sorry, Avenue 5 is the series. Let's have a look at that. It's a comedy sci-fi. It's only got a 5.9 out of 10 rating on Internet Movie Database, but then I don't always follow what people think. It started Jan 20. Actually, it looks like it's. Oh no, it started last week, I think. Well, actually, started this week or very, very recently. Very, very recently. Let's give a quick synopsis of what it says. I'm gonna give it a.
Got it on Wikipedia now.
Yeah. So yeah, it just says Space Captain Ryan Clark of Avenue 5 tries to get along with others in the space tourism industry. It's got Hugh Laurie saluting. I've never heard of this series.
I only found out this morning.
Well, I like Hugh Laurie. I mean, I remember him from the Blackadder days and things like that. So I like Hugh Laurie. Who else is in it? Let's have a look. I'm not that familiar with the other cast members at the moment. Let's have a look. Josh Gad.
Ethan Phillips.
Oh, Ethan Phillips is in it. Oh, okay. Ethan Phillips. Oh, I can't see it. Oh, yeah, Ethan Phillips. Spike Martin. Yep, hold on. Good, well spotted. Jessica. Well, let's have a look. I mean, there's a few. Maybe there's
Ethan Phillips, Spike Williams, a former astronaut who is now a womanising alcoholic.
Okay.
Laurie is Ryan Clark, the captain of Avenue 5. Josh Gad, Herman Judd, who's based on Richard Branson, billionaire owner of Avenue 5. Zach Woods, head of customer relations. He's meant to be a right creepy type of character.
Right.
Rebecca Fronters, Karen Kelly, passenger. Susie, I've heard of Susie Nakamura as Iris Kamura, an associate owner of Avenue 5.
Okay.
I don't know who the others are, but it's apparently there's 5,000 people on the ship, so they can pull all these strange characters out. But there's some weird situation how the ship ends up off course, but he didn't want to release any spoilers about that because that's central.
Well, it looks good. It looks like it's a good production. Like I said, I see what people said in the reviews very quickly. I know that it doesn't really matter, but I tend to look just to get an idea of what people think.
Runs for 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Oh, so it's like a sitcom sort of length.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's try and, if we get the chance, have a look at that. It's got 80 reviews. Let's have a look. It's only, like I said, it's just been released, but then, like I said, you have to treat reviewers with a pinch of salt, really.
Episode 1, Avenue 5 is a luxurious passenger ship owned by eccentric millionaire Herman Judd, which is heading back to Earth. A malfunction on the ship causes it to go off course and will now take 3 years to get home after the main engineer is killed. Captain Ryan tries to figure a way to fix the situation, but he is a fraud and was hired to reassure passengers and not to captain a ship. In fact, he is hiding from Judge Engineer Billy McAvoy and associate owner Iris Kamura. Meanwhile, passenger service employee Matt Smith attempts to calm passengers who have discovered that they will not get home for 3 years.
Okay, right.
That's the first episode.
As usual, the reviewers are very polarised. Some saying it's great, some people are saying it's awful. A lot of them say Yanks don't get British humour, so I think it's got an English humour to it, even though it's American, which might...
I think Americans... You know, when I was over there, I think Americans do get British humour. I think when British...
I think they do
programs try to get it all American, I think it sinks itself.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think look at people like Ricky Gervais and stuff, and his humour, and that goes down very well over there. Yes. And that's very English humour, the stuff he does.
The Office.
Exactly, which I was a huge fan of The Office. So, yeah, okay, well, like I said, it's you shouldn't really look at the reviewers, but it seems to be either, it has a lot going for it, and the next one says bad beyond belief, and that's somebody put, Some people said off to a good start. Some people said good fun, bubble gum for the brain stuff. But yeah, I'll try and give that a go. And if we get the chance, maybe we can have a review of episode 1 next week if we get the chance of seeing it. Thanks, Martin. That is brilliant. Excellent. Anything else?
Now, the big one is 2 days' time.
I know. So how do you feel? You looking forward to it?
Obviously, I've been watching some review. I mean, people have been panning it and nobody's seen it yet.
I looked at on Twitter on the reviews with the premiere. There's one in, I think, LA and one in London last week. And a lot of people came out saying, wow, this is great and everything. Again, it goes back to this previous series, is that Avenue 5. You got to just watch it for yourself. And it's about your own individual preferences. You know.
Yeah, I mean, if you start listening to people like reviewers and they're all saying it's this and that, then there'd be no point watching anything. You experience it for yourself. If it's rubbish, then say it's rubbish, but that's from your point of view.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I don't going by film reviewers because half of them get it wrong.
Yeah, so I think we should just go for it. So like I said, we might not agree with it. You might love it, I might loathe it, or vice versa. But it doesn't matter.
Guinan's coming back in season 2. They've already marked off season 2, and there's another 3 Star Trek series on the way.
Is Guinan coming back? I didn't know Guinan was coming back. Is she coming? Oh, Whoopi Goldberg.
It's all over Facebook about an hour ago.
Oh, well, I've not checked since I've got home. Oh, that's cool. Although, of course, that'd be interesting because, of course, Whoopi Goldberg would have aged. And she's an El-Orient, and El-Orients aren't supposed to age. Well, they are, but very, very slowly. So
they'll just CGI. It's like what they do to Arnie in every Terminator movie.
Oh, I saw it. I saw last week. I finally saw Terminator Dark Fate. I liked it.
Look, to be honest,
I liked it. I thought it was quite good.
But I just wish to do something new with it.
The problem is with it, and it is another review, but that is what we talk about. The Terminator new film, it completely wiped out all the efforts of the first 2 Terminator films.
Yes.
And that was the major factor, because the whole point was at the end of Terminator 2, you see the road ahead, and they said now that the future is unpredictable, we go ahead hoping for a better future. And then, of course, now we find out that literally a very short time after, John Connor, sorry, spoilers everybody, if you haven't seen this, we see John Connor get shot and killed. And they did a very good recreation. They de-aged Linda Hamilton and Arnie, obviously, and even Edward Furlong was de-aged, which I thought was quite good. And of course, then it was no longer Skynet. Skynet was destroyed, but something took its place, which was called Legion. Yes. And they sent a Rev 5 or whatever the type of Terminator that they sent.
Do you know, Skynet is meant to be the ultimate apex of AI technology.
Yeah.
It sends hundreds of Terminators back. I mean, hundreds of them, right?
Well, yeah.
And it cancelled its own existence.
But then it gets taken over. And the thing is, it's a bit
and then
of
something else took over.
It's a bit of a mess because, of course, in the first film, it said nobody. The Skynet was destroyed. Nobody else comes through. It's just him and me. And then, of course, Terminator 2. The Terminators, they sent 2 Terminators back in time, so they already changed that. And now they sent 3. And then you think of Sarah Connor, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, where they sent a different Terminator practically every week, even a T-1000. It's got very messed up. So I think really Terminator's a film where you've got to just think, oh, what the hell, it's just, it's a Terminator. If you look at it too much, it really is a bit of a mess.
Oh, Terminator's a total mess. What they should have done, I think Salvation, I'm a big fan of Salvation.
I like Salvation as well. I think it's very good.
Should have gone on from there.
And it was open for another one as well. I thought Salvation was a very interesting departure.
You saw the future. That's what
yeah,
you wanted.
It was the future, and it was actually based on what happened. And it followed the events of Terminator 3, which, of course, then Judgment Day was a bit later, but it still happened.
And then how they could have finished it in the final trilogy of the Terminator movies, that when they storm Skynet, the central command, and destroy it, that it sends that Terminator through, then it completes the circle.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Exactly.
They don't want to finish it because they want to make money.
Yeah, well, I honestly, although I think it actually ended on a good note, I really do think this is it now for the Terminator films. I can't coming back at least for a long time, and then it'll be different actors. But I just think they've just thrown so many different consequences and alternate timelines and everything that they can't do anything more with it. I don't know what else they can do with it.
I'm a big fan of Sarah Connor Chronicles.
I'm just watching it now. I'm just watching. I have seen it before, but I did like it. Unfortunately, it ended on a cliffhanger, and then it got cancelled. But it was good. It was good. So. Again, it was a potential series which could have gone on for a lot longer with some really interesting factors and things, and difference in timelines and all sorts of things. But it was a good series. I liked it.
There is some V news as well.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah. Ooh, yes.
You've got lots of news today, haven't we, Blimey?
Well, there's a guy called Johnny Back. He sort of researches some really weird stuff out there, like science fiction. You check out his channel. It's called the Johnny Back Collective. I'll send you a link.
Thank you.
And he covers like just a bit off the grid, but apparently, he did a big V review. But it's I watched one of his videos. That is it Kenneth Marshall?
Kenneth Johnson, isn't it?
Kenneth Johnson. Well, apparently he's now in partnership with Desilu Studios.
Oh yeah.
To bring the original trilogy back, but updated.
Ooh.
To go, but he wants to tell the full story he had planned all along.
So is it a remake or a continuation?
No, I think it's going to be a remake, but set now. With a movie budget for free films, apparently.
Oh, because they've obviously remade it already once, and I didn't mind the remake, but I preferred the original.
I think it's the one, instead of, you see, like the 80s one was so awesome.
I know.
They were here to eat us and do whatever, and we fought back, and that's about survival. That's why people liked it. In the new series, which did have a few good episodes, they were here for the soul, and they got meta-human and all, spiritual and that. But I will say the final episode when Mark Singer, they were all ready for them. They'd been waiting for them for over 20 years. They knew about them.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think season 3 might have been a game changer, but it never happened.
I would have liked a sequel to the 80s series, where the 80s series had happened and it was humanity now in 2020, and because it was left open when the series got cancelled, and just what had happened over the last 30 years or 20.
Well,
you know what I mean?
When they pulled out Red Dust, 30, 40 years on, they would have left a lot of their technology on the planet, which would have been, there was a lot of ways you could have took V.
Well,
we reverse engineered. There was that mothership that got left behind.
Well, that reminds me of the Independence Day, because that also had the sequel, which had a similar premise, where it was 20, 30 years later, and they had a mothership on ground. They were learning to. So there is a parallel between. There's also been a parallel between V and Independence Day. But sorry, carry on what you're going to say. What you think was going to happen in V?
Well, apparently it's going to be like it's the full. He actually had a full story for it,
right?
But he walked out of a television series because it took so many shortcuts and it was just ridiculous,
right? And
he walked away from it, But he apparently had quite an interesting career. He directed that robot 5 Live. I'm Alive. What they call it? I hated that film. Robot, Johnny 5 or something. You don't remember that?
I can't remember. It's a Short Circuit? No, was it a Short Circuit?
He directed that, yeah. And he did the Incredible Hulk TV series.
I'm a big fan of that.
Barnet Man and Barnet Woman, which I was quite impressed with. I'll send you this guy's link after the show.
I still think I still think remixing the Hulk changing themes into the TV movies that follow, which I've done for my collection, it does make them seem a lot better for some reason. I know it's just a sound effect, but it's like when you look at the Peter Cushing Doctor Who films and the TARDIS doesn't do the usual materialisation sound. It's just so missing.
Yes.
Really sad, I know, to think about things.
I love the film. Having the classics.
Well, I did remix the TARDIS sounds into my copy. My copies have got the proper TARDIS sound.
You actually put it into the copy?
Yeah, I mixed it in. It's really good. No, I have. I actually deleted the original one. I reburnt the DVD I remixed the audio, and it's got the proper Doctor Who sound now. It's so much better.
But that is so weird as well.
Oh, I know. It's probably a weird thing to do, but I don't care. I love that sort of stuff.
Super cool to do.
I like it.
It's super cool.
Well, I'll put it on Facebook. I'll put it on YouTube. I'll send you a link and you can check it out. Cool. Anything else before we go into our topic, focus of the week?
No, I think that's it on the news. I mean, we've got Picard coming, Doctor. We've discussed this Avenue 5, and I think that's it. Yeah.
Brilliant. And other new things coming up, of course, this year, of course, is the special TV movie or feature-length episode of Red Dwarf, which I think comes out in April, which I'm really looking forward to. Something like that. I think it's April. It's going to be on Dave. We've got a new Orville this year, and what else we've got? I want to obviously watch the rest of the Expanse. Yeah, quite a few things for us to look forward to this year, so it should be good. Right,
Watchmen's been cancelled.
Oh, I've never seen that.
So that is gone.
Were you a fan?
I've not seen it. Apparently it's exemplary. Damien Lindelof, the creator, he said he wanted 1 star, he's walked away from it. It was a big hit, and Marvel's cancelled all the outgoing series on other networks. Because they want control of it all back under the. Is it the Disney Channel they're bringing out?
Yeah. Well, actually, Disney is because apparently Disney is going to be released a week earlier now in Europe, in the UK, sometime in March or something. And a lot of people are saying, of course, that the people over in the UK who want to see The Mandalorian, which, yes, you can find online, and people in the UK have done it. A lot of people are going to actually check it out, but whether there's enough room for... Well, that's the thing, because it was such a hit. But whether a lot of people are going to subscribe to, instead of Netflix and Amazon, and... do we get Hulu over here? I don't think we get Hulu in the UK.
Well, I've got... on smart devices, I have got a Hulu app, but I've never used on my gaming system. I've got Hulu. I've never used it. I've downloaded it. It says pay for it to use it, so I'm not paying for it. I'm paying for Amazon and Netflix and other stuff.
We've got both. We've got Amazon and Netflix. I tend to not watch a lot of stuff, but it's. I mean, like I said, the Star Trek Picard series. I think we get it a day after America.
Yeah, which I'm a bit annoyed about that.
I think we get it on Friday and they get it on Thursday.
That's like Discovery. They get it Sunday, we got it Monday.
Yeah, that's annoying, isn't it? Well, whatever. We're going to still talk about doing a review of it very soon on your channel. If you're still up for that, I think that'd be a really interesting one to talk about. Get our first reaction. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. On that note, I think we should move into the Solar One Sci-Fi Focus of the Week. Here we go.
It's the Solar Sci-Fi Focus of the Week.
Alright, so this week, a film I wanted to focus on. I have recently seen the remake, but this week, because I'm a person who wants to get the most out of this podcast, I decided to give a rewatch to the 1960 film Village of the Damned. If you're not aware of it, it's a British film, and it's the synopsis basically is: in the English village of Bidwich, the blonde-haired, glowing-eyed children of uncertain paternity prove to have frightening powers. Unfortunately, that's a very brief review, but it's a very good film which stars George Sanders, Barbara Shelley, and Michael Gwynn, and it's very creepy because watching it this week, it starts off very, very suddenly. Literally the opening titles, and then suddenly people are collapsing, animals are falling to the ground, and then you start to realise that something really weird is going on. Okay, so tell me what you think about it to start off.
What, Village of the Damned?
Village of the Damned.
I think it's one of the best British films ever made.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me how you first saw it, initial impressions. Is it something that you just liked from the first time you saw it, or the more you've seen it, the more it's got up in your estimation?
I saw it, I think I was about 7. I remember on BBC, they used to show, on a Wednesday night, they used to show about 7 o'clock. Because I remember Star Trek were on
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
Yeah, and then the show science fiction film from the 50s, like The Day the Earth Stood Still or War of the Worlds, and it came on and it terrified me.
Yeah.
terrified me. Absolutely, I was scared. I was clinging to my mother, and the parents thought it was funny. But it were them little kids, and they were so malevolent, horrible little monsters. A lot of
Yeah, but it was a very, very clever idea because like I said, they suddenly all these women became pregnant, and back then, of course, some of them weren't married, and of course there was much more of a stigma and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And it was really more clever because it actually said in the film that it wasn't just this part of this village in England. There was a place in Russia, there was a place in somewhere like Siberia or something, and most of the other factors, they all happened on the same day at the same time, but in about 4 or 5 different places, countries, and most of the other kids were killed off by these primitive tribal areas. But there was one set in Russia where they were killed off, but they got quite advanced, and apparently they were ahead of the British ones or something.
Yeah, they did the Russians.
They actually did, yeah, which is quite a thing. I think it's very, very clever because in the end, it was just the perceptions of the people as to what's going on, and the way they all look the same. They're all very unemotional, and they all had this idea. And of course, you're watching it, and they're also growing much faster than they were in real time. I think the film, when they're at the oldest we see them, was only 3 years into the future, and they look like they're about 8 or 9 or something, or 9 or 10. Maybe not 8, 9 or 10, 8 or 9, 7 or 8, whatever. And it was just a very, very well-made film, and it's British sci-fi. In films at that point, you didn't really get a lot, apart from, like I said, things like the Day the Earth Stood Still, which you've already mentioned. Very, very good, very, very disturbing in some ways, because you really had not a clue as to what their intentions were. I mean, what do you think their intentions would have been eventually?
In the book, I read the book years ago, and I found the book and I scanned a bit of it over the weekend. But at the beginning of the book, when the government sends an aeroplane over the village to take aerial shots, there's in the book, The Midwich Cuckoos, there's a silver object in the middle of the village, but it vanishes.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. That wasn't featured on the film, was it?
No, it would have been good if they had put that.
Because I remember when I watched the beginning of it, it did say it was based on the book The Midwich Cuckoos, as you said. Do you think they could have kept the original name? Or do you think
from what I remember, it does go quite a lot to the book. I mean, they are alien. They're here to take over. It's what they. I mean, they are totally malevolent. They've got no feelings.
No.
But it's like they're like a hive mind as well.
Like a collective.
How they work. Do you remember that scene when they're all just walking together?
Well, outside, and then people at the town are just watching them. They're just looking around. Yeah, it was creepy.
And I just thought the whole film, the premise of it was just amazing. There were no major effects in it, but it didn't need it.
It didn't need it.
Even now, it gives. I think if it give me creeps now. The John Carpenter one freaked me out.
And
with the house, the mother, when they put her hand in the pot. That's
it. Yeah. So I assume you prefer the original to the remake.
I am a big fan of the remake. I thought the remake was very good. I thought they added a bit more to it. But I thought, go for it. I actually do like the John Carpenter remake,
I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, so if anybody's going to do a good remake, it's him. I need to see. Now I've seen the original one again. I need to see the remake again. I did see it a while back, but I have to say, I'm watching them both. The original has stuck in my head more this time round. I wish I'd seen it. The problem is I saw it the wrong way round. I wish I'd seen this one and then gone to the remake with Christopher Reeve, which I will again watch. But I thought it was very good, well acted. I like the scene where they realise it's something really weird's going on in the village. This is at the beginning when everybody's collapsed, and then the plane goes over to see what's going on, but then it gets a bit too low, and then of course the pilot falls unconscious, and then the plane gets destroyed. And so, like I said, it had factors to do with Mars as well.
Mars?
Did it have some connection to do with Mars as well? Or was that no? I don't think so. No, it didn't. No. You're right. I'm thinking about something else. No, it didn't. But it did have an interesting idea of the fact that parents and adults are going to be quite very protective towards what they think is their children, and I think that's one factor that made it interesting because in the end, the mothers are still biologically. Well,
they are the mother, yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to want to protect their children, even though that they're not quite as they should be. So
I think, the potential. I'm surprised this hasn't been looked at because you could make a TV series out of this.
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it could work. I'm trying to think how they could do it in the time scale.
Dark. It'd be a very dark series, and I think you could set it where they get to their full agenda. Yeah, they could disappear into society, or people. It's like the FBI's looking for them. There's a lot you could do with this.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think. I thought that I've obviously mentioned Mars, and that can't be right. But didn't we have some reference as to where they came from? I thought it was somewhere.
The John Carpenter one. There is they give because they give it. Kirstie Alley's that scientist.
Yeah.
They've got a lab, and there's one of the fetuses that were unborn. It's like got the shape of something not quite human.
Ah, yeah.
She said John Carpenter film. And she said, "This is what they look like." I
need to see that one again because, like I said, it would be good to sort of get the perspective of a more recent production, and obviously it's an American production. Yes. Tell me about the sequel, The Children of the Damned.
Oh, I knew you'd bring that up. I don't know. It's worth a watch.
Right.
But is it a sequel? I don't know. It's cheap, it's nasty, and it's like the scientist. There is sort of a mention of what happened, but it's like every government has one of these children,
right?
In Russia and China, but they all look like of where they come from.
Oh, okay.
Like, so you get a kid from India. There's one kid from India. Oh, he's Indian, and then you get a kid who's from another country who's of that country, and I'm thinking, well, how's this a sequel to original when they were all like blue eyes and blonde hair?
Yeah.
And all these hyper intelligent kids, and they all end up going to a church, and they do explain a bit more that. They're here basically to replace us, from what I can remember of it, and there is a bit of a resolution with it because when the government surrounds it with troops, they're going to blow them up. When they attack it, they create this device that kills loads of people.
Right.
And they agree to go back to embassy from this church because they come to a conclusion that they cannot exist with us. So, and they're actually going to hand themselves over, but before they do, they kill all these ambassadors with the powers, but they end up blowing up the building. Something happens, I think it's so stupid that a screwdriver falls off a ladder and hits some bombers and blows them all up, and that's it. It's terrible. It is absolute. It was covered. He did a double. Alex Cox, he did both films on BBC.
Oh, he did both, okay.
And that's when I saw the sequel. I never knew there was a sequel to it a couple of years, like the original one. And it's awful, but it's worth a look.
Was it made by the same people who did the original one?
I don't know. I think it were like today, just because something's weird and it makes a bit of money, they thought we can do this for half the price, alter the story a bit, and and sort of do something with it.
Yeah.
Whereas like the modern one, which I really did like the remake with the mother, and she takes the little boy. He's a bit different because they're all paired up, and he doesn't have a partner.
Right.
So they look down on him, but he's like the mother's. He develops this relationship with the mother. She takes him away at the end, and I found that could have made a great. You got something there with a sequel, but in the original one, the Children of the Damned, it is terrible. It is just they made it to make money quick. It were like, let's get this filmed in about 3 months and shove it out there.
Chuck it out there, yeah.
It's for the 50s. So I don't know. It's worth a look. There is potential in there with the story, but
it wasn't very well executed, is what you're saying.
No.
Okay, yeah. Well, like I said, it's certainly interesting to sort of have these different ideas about how to pursue a story, like, as you say, the Midwich Cuckoos. But yeah, I think it was definitely one I have always remembered. I know you knew about the sequel until I think you told me about it the other week, which is when we decided to do this podcast. Good story.
Well, the writer, the writer, is it John Wyndham who wrote it?
Yeah, John Wyndham. Yeah, who did the Triffids as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he did start writing a sequel to it, but he died. So there is some drafts of a sequel that do exist.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Where he would have took it, but he did start writing a sequel to it.
Well, another series we've got to talk about in a future episode, of course, is The Day of the Triffids. Maybe all the different versions. We could talk about the 81 version, the 2009, I think it was one, and the original 60s one. But yeah, but we've got to give that a mention. But again, it goes back to how we said our modern adaptations of sci-fi on BBC, i.e. The War of the Worlds and The Day of the Triffids, are absolute pants. So there we go.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, never mind, but that was a good film, and certainly one to talk about, and thank you for showing that.
The BBC remade Quatermass, the original, didn't they? It was terrible.
I've not seen that.
It's worth a lot. They spent a lot of money on it. The one with the vegetable creature on the scaffolding, you know, the astronaut comes back and he's changing.
Yeah.
So they redid that one.
Oh, when did they do that?
Oh, it must have been in early 2000s. They remade it. Because do you remember that there was that series called some Andromeda, A for Andromeda?
Oh, I know vaguely.
This wasn't that bad. It was at that time they were like remaking one-offs.
Right.
Showing them is it on BBC 3 or BBC 4? They were trying to, but it never took off. The same people did the Triffids remakes from them. Terrible. It was, but it might be worth digging this out and taking it. It could be on YouTube.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I did like the Survivors remake, but then that's a proper whole series, wasn't it? Which I thought was good. But like I said, I'm not a big fan of the BBC anymore. They can't make comedy anymore, and it's just. I think we should get rid of it or make it a subscription-only based thing. But we've talked about this before.
I mean, all I say now is just get rid of it. I just haven't got any time for BBC.
No, I'm not. I'm really done with BBC. I used to be a big fan of it, but I'm in recent years. I just think the whole thing should just be, if people want it, they should pay for it with a subscription. I mean, they should just, that'd be fine with me. I think eventually will happen. Sooner or later, I think people are going to just get sick of it.
I don't have a license anymore. I've stopped paying for it.
Do you know what? I don't blame you. I mean, we do, but I don't particularly want to. But I the thing is, why should you pay for something if you don't watch anything on there?
I took the aerial connection out, and I actually got a TV a few years. I phoned them up, to be honest, and I said, look, I'm not watching TV. And I phoned them up, and they were all nice down the phone. 3 months later, this guy turned up at the door, and he said, "You've got to let me in." So I thought, well, I'm not doing no wrong. I could have been, So I let him in, and he checked, and he said, "Okay." He said, "Won't bother you again." And he said to me, "Do you watch anything live?" Just as he was on his way out from the door, and I said to him, "Look, mate, I know what you're trying to do."
Yeah.
No, I said, I don't watch it. I said, because I'm paying for pillocks like you. I said, I'm not doing it. And he tried to pull a fast one, and I did phone him and complain about that.
I don't blame you.
So after that was 10 years. I'm not paying for it at all. I've got no aerial connection. I do not watch it.
No, I don't blame you. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. It's just a shame that you've been forced to sort of feel like that based on your own experiences. Anyway, there we go. Right, shall we change subject, go into your Predator versus this week?
Predator versus.
Ain't there a scavenge tonight?
Well, yeah, this is going to be a weird. I've not watched the programme, well, like I said, I don't watch BBC anymore, so I ain't got a clue what's going on in the world of soap operas, but there is two British thugs. With bald heads, went round and did a lot of stuff. This week it's Predator versus the Mitchell brothers from EastEnders.
Oh dear. So I've not watched EastEnders going back to the BBC Factor for probably about 15 years. I used to be a big fan.
EastEnders, yeah.
I used to watch it. I remember the very first episode is something like 1987 or something like that. Early years, based on, of course, lifestyles are different back then. I was quite an EastEnders fan. I thought it was very well made. But like everything, it's tired, it's done to death, it's been on for so long, and I haven't got time to sit there watching soap operas. But I do remember the Mitchell brothers, and they were the infamous sort of thuggy kind of. They worked in the Queen Vic at some point, and they often were involved with dodgy deals and things like this. And they were the two hard men of this respective soap opera. So,
yes, well, there is statistics. I mean, Grant was Ross Kemper. Grant Mitchell was in the Paras, so he does have military experience. And he fought in the
Okay, so that's an interesting bit of trivia.
Yeah, so there is thing there. But Phil, well, he drinks a lot and beats people up and just has affairs. But he is he's always trying to rule the square.
Yeah.
So we've got a territorial sort of thing. Grant has some military and is a psycho, and Phil Mitchell's a psycho. So it's Predator. The story is Predator gets kicked out of its tribe. It's pissed. It's really annoyed, and it ends up crashing in the arches where the thing's been knocked off. It's pissed. Been kicked out by its tribe, and it goes around slaughtering everybody in Albert Square. And the final showdown will be in the Queen Vic. Now over to you.
Okay, so in the Queen Vic, is it when Peggy was still around, or is it sort of? What's the time scale? So Peggy's still there.
Early 90s.
Early 90s. Okay.
Yeah.
So who else we have back in the 90s? We probably have. Dirty Den? Would he? No, he might have been gone by then.
No, he come back from dead.
All right, so that's right. He's come back from the dead, and
he's back from dead as well. You've got Doc Cotton, Nick Cotton as well. He gets back.
Yeah. Okay. And so the Predator Machella's walking around, and he spots the Mitchell brothers as a valid target for destruction.
You're getting that infrared scene where it's stalking
and you see the silhouette, and you can hear the weird sort of sound of them talking, and it's all distorted and stuff. So they would have for defence. What would they have? They would have baseball bats. Would they have any guns?
Well, they are gangsterish, aren't they?
So they might have a rifle or something.
A little shitty pistol.
All right, so obviously it's 2 against 1.
Or a sawn-off shotgun.
Yeah, okay. So obviously Phil Mitchell is running at him, punching him in the guts. The Predator's trying to sort of aim his laser gun sets at his chest to blow him up. And then Grant jumps him and then pushes him to the floor. And then one of them gets the rifle, aims it at his head. And then, of course, he jumps up. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the scenario. So they're fighting, but of course, like I said, it's 2 against 1. But they've only got sort of basic human weapons. Are they skilled?
But it's a pub full of alcohol, which could be turned into a Molotov cocktail.
Oh, that's true. They could throw a bottle of whiskey and sort of set it alight and stuff. And all right. So they got that. Yeah, they got that.
In Albert Square, all the heads are stuck on pikes in the pub.
Oh, I know what happens. They're having a fight, and then Doc Cotton comes in, and she's smoking a fag, and then the Predator gets covered in a bottle of whiskey, and then she throws the fag, and the Predator blows up.
Oh, that's that was sneaky. That was sneaky.
Doc Cotton saves the day.
Yeah, she flicks it. Well, there's a big punch-up going on with them too.
Yeah,
but they all die. The Queen Vic explodes.
But Dot survives. Dot survives, and everybody else is killed.
Yeah.
She goes out, and Nasty Dick comes in. Hello, Ma, and then they sort of like he sees a free bottle of whiskey. He grabs it and he sort of pulls Dot out because he's got the bottle of whiskey, and she survives. And the Mitchell brothers are killed, and so is the Predator.
Well, I don't know. I think Pauline Fowler might have had a chat.
Oh my God, this is the weirdest one yet. Okay.
So one then, Predator or the Mitch?
Well, unfortunately, it's not the Mitchell brothers who wins. It's Doc Cotton.
Yeah, because she flicks a cigarette through a window, not
Yeah.
noticing what was going on, and that.
It reminds me of that episode of Doctor Who. They did a Children Need special where the Doctor ends up on Albert Square in something like Dimensions in Time or something, and it was pretty bad. But I've got some parallels with that. Yeah, well done, Doc Cotton. If you don't know Doc Cotton, if you're listening to this, she says, "Oh my neck," and she's been on the show for about 500 years. Actually, she appeared in an episode of Doctor Who, actually, for trivia back in the 70s. So, June Brown, I think her name is.
Yeah.
And she was in, I can't remember the episode, but she was in some sort of historic reference episode. I think it was a Tom Baker, but I might be wrong. I can't remember. There you go. Doc Cotton is the winner this week of Predator versus the Mitchell brothers. Well done, Doc.
Right then, Paul Mitchell.
Brilliant. On that note, is there anything else you want to talk about tonight?
No, I think that's it. I think we're all revved up for the Picard series on Friday.
Yeah, excellent. So what we'll be doing is hopefully we'll be doing some sort of live stream on Marty's channel. Also, we'll give a big discussion next week on the actual first episode. Do you want to make it the focus of the week of being Star Trek Picard, or do you?
I'd like to do a live show of it in about 2 episodes in, so we get what's going on.
So shall we do something different like next week, and then when we've got a bit more substantial info to talk about, because there's been at least 2 or 3 episodes.
Yes,
we'll do
that's what I'm saying. And then we'll do a live show then.
All right, I think next
week
week
get to work out the arc and where it could go. And
what do you want to do for a focus for next week? Any ideas? Let's go with a TV series next week. Anything that suddenly think, oh, let's make that the focus. We've done V, haven't we? We've done that. What about? Oh, do you want to do Stargate SG-1? It's a big one. Oh, bugger, he's gone. Okay. He's gone. Right. Sorry, everybody. Let's try ringing back.
hello, can you hear me now?
All right. So, sorry, we had a technical issue there. I think next week we may do Stargate SG-1 if you're up for that.
Oh, definitely, yes.
That would be a really good.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
definitely.
a good episode. Which I'll have a big chat about that. So we'll do that. And like I said, we'll briefly mention Picard next week, but I think in 2 or 3 weeks' time we'll do a proper focused episode of that. So thank you, Martin, for that. Sorry we had some technical issues at the end of the show. We're going to leave with The Firm with a great song from the 1980s, which I remember very, very clearly, and even got the extended remix, and that is Star Trekking by The Firm. Thank you, Martin. Live long and prosper, and we'll catch you next week.
Yes.
All right. All the best. Laters.
Star trekking across the universe.
On the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk.
Star trekking across the universe.
Slowly going forward 'cause we can't find reverse. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, Jim.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Not as we know it. Not as we know it. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Not as we know it, Captain.
There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, Jim.
Star trekking across the universe.
On the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk.
Star trekking across the universe.
Slowly going forward, still can't find reverse.
It's worse than that, he's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. It's worse than that, he's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Not as we know it. Not as we know it. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Not as we know it, Captain.
There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, Jim.
We come in peace, shoot to kill, shoot to kill, shoot to kill. We come in peace, shoot to kill, man.
It's worse than that, he's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. It's worse than that, he's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead.
Well, it's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it, not as we know it. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it, Captain.
There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow. Scrape 'em off, Jim.
Star trekking across the universe.
On the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk.
Star trekking across the universe.
Only going forward and things are getting worse.
You cannot change the laws of physics. Laws of physics. Laws of physics. You cannot change the laws of physics. Laws of physics, Jim.
Oh, we come in peace, shoot to kill, shoot to kill, shoot to kill. We come in peace, shoot to kill. Scotty, beam me up.
It's worse than that, he's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. It's worse than that, he's dead, Jim. Dead, Jim. Dead.
Well, it's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it, not as we know it. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it, not as we know it, Captain.
There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. There's Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow.
You cannot change the script, Jim. I'll see you, Jimmy. It's worse than that, it's physics, Jim.
Bridge to engine room, warp factor 9.
If I give it any more, she'll blow, Captain.
On the Starship Enterprise under Captain Kirk. Across the universe.